Beautiful souls, it is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, and it's time once again to vibe with your tribe. The month of January certainly went out with a tornado of events, starting with the very tragic plane crashes occurring over Washington, D.C., and over my hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And there seems to be some very strange vibes around these incidents and accidents. Topped off with, of course, many theories of the conspiracist type revolved around it. But are they actually theories, friends? Or could there be some facts revolved around this? Such as the connections to the master numbers 11 and 33. And our faces, friends, these numbers show up in the DC plane crash. I'll explain all about that today on today's show. And I'm also going to show you a past clip of what I actually stated last year about plane crashes, including my vision of a mid-air collision happening, along with other predictions, of course, revolved around airplanes, aviation, and aerospace. We started to see the prediction of the tariff wars coming into fruition, and now we don't. Or do we? What's going on with that? It seems quite confusing, and making it even more confusing is once again why they seem so willing to push those costs right onto us and drive prices even higher and higher, which could, of course, bring about shortages and a whole lot of unhappy people. Well, things did change again with the whole tariff thing, but is it going to change again? And when are folks going to realize when they hit the grocery stores and gas pumps that this is just going to drive up prices even more? So how is this all going to pan out for America and for our trade partners? One thing that we do see is this short-term trade war is going to bring about more pressure on the cartel. And you remember my past predictions. Now we see the U.S. troops. We see the Mexican troops joining in to guard the borders, the southern borders. But what about the northern borders? Because I got news for you, friends. There's much more of that fentanyl and all coming in through the northern borders than the southern borders. Because they can't cover the whole entire northern border. It's way too big. There's forests, mountains, and all kinds of things that they can, and the cartel are good at what they do, especially when they have help with some people that are weaved within that web of darkness of the three-letter agencies. So, what's going to happen with this whole fentanyl thing? Is it actually going to work? Remember my past predictions of cartel wars? I said this a few years back, and back then it didn't really look like it could be plausible. I mean, it's always possible, but not plausible. Well, now it seems to be clearly pushing into the forward realm of possibilities. The victims of the plane crash on January 29th, could there at all be a connection with that in the cartel? It's just a theory, just something that somebody passed by that I'm going to share with you today. Little thought that we can all discuss. Now, we are stepping into this amazing time of innovation. A push for these new levels of healing that are going to happen for all of us across the planet in the next decade. But first, just of course, a handful of concerns and outbreaks to help feed the fire of the medical and innovative push. Because that's what overall it's going to do. The more outbreaks, the more concerns, the more focus there is on our health. So it all does lead to positive in the end. And something I said I'm going to show you today about 5 months ago in my channel predictions, it makes a lot more sense with the new administration going into place and people waking up to the toxicity of our food industry. Really interesting how things are just starting to fall into place, as they always usually do. At the same time, just under a year ago, there was the herd of buffalo that gave birth to the second, same herd, but the second extremely rare white buffalo calf. This goes way back to the Native American prophecies, and within this second birth is a huge message for all of us and for humanity and for our planet. We are going to explore this today, along with some interesting information about zodiac signs in accordance to the FBI. Are you, or is your zodiac sign one of the most dangerous zodiac signs? It's a list that you're going to be shocked by and surprised by today. Really interesting. A wildfire warning for my friends in this home state that I'm in now, Arizona, and a whole lot more, friends, on this episode number 152 of Tuesday's Predictions Update. And it is that time again, friends.
It's Tittle Tea time, baby.
Friends, beautiful souls, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, and my tribe and I would like to welcome you with open arms. Big old air hugs, friends. Big old air hugs. Down below in the description, you'll find all the links to all my social media, including the supporters of the Awaken Your Spirit Subscribe Star community. The supporters you can join on the community at YouTube and other places. The members of this community and all the communities help make all this free content possible for everybody else, along with all the contributions that also help me to do what I love to do and put all this great content out for you. I appreciate it with infinite love and gratitude. Now, also, be aware, if you're new here, again, if you are new here, you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, and you want to vibe with this awesome tribe, do smash that subscribe, the bell and all. Make sure that if I don't pop up on your feed or in your notifications by Wednesday, that you go check and make sure you aren't mysteriously unsubscribed from my channel. Because I see that happen often when they like to manipulate the numbers, which is very unfair to me. Because I should have well over 100,000 subscribers, well over that. But I do not. Things that make you go, I'd be willing to bet that my new channel that I just started, for Japan actually, my Japanese channel, the link is down below in the description. If you are Japanese and can speak Japanese, because it's all going to be translated over, you're going to want to sign up to that channel. I have a new video going out with predictions for Japan, but it's not just predictions for Japan. There's a really good message within those predictions, that forecast for Japan, that's going to be related to all of us, that you're all going to need to hear. So you would see my dire warning for Japan prediction video going up later this week. Be sure to watch it, because it's not all just about Japan, it's about all of us, but mainly focused on Japan. That will be interpreted into Japanese by my dear new friend Nana, who's going to interpret that and get that loaded up on my Japanese channel. So please, my friends in Japan, tell all your friends. I have a big interview that's going to be airing, I believe, on February 6th. Once I get that information, I will put links out there so you can watch it. You can always translate it into English and see what it was like with me hanging out with my friends from Japan. Lots of fun that was. Also, lastly, be aware of fake profiles. There's too many. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook mainly. If you get a message on any platform that appears to be me, it is not me, I assure you. I can't keep up with my workload as is, let alone go on social media and message people privately. No. And I have a very busy schedule. You will not see me sending you messages that I have a message from your deceased loved one or send me $10 or a gift card. That is not me, friends. Please report those profiles immediately. There's no need to let us know, because it happens on a daily basis. It's ridiculous. And it doesn't just happen to me. It happens to many people. So if you get messages from anybody on social media that's got a large following, chances are it's probably not them. So please report it. And this is where Zuckerberg and TikTok people really need to start doing something about this, because these profiles get reported. I do get emails when you report them on Facebook. I get emails saying, hey, somebody reported this profile, but they never do anything about it. Ever. They never do anything. It's ridiculous. And this is why we need to boycott different platforms and don't pay attention to those messages, friends. So let us move on to episode number 152 of Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time. Well, friends, we have already stepped into the month of February. Unbelievable, isn't it? January just seemed to breeze right on by so friggin' quickly. Now, I know sometimes I could be a workaholic because I'm constantly doing work and content and clients. Makes time fly faster. But like, where'd January go, friends? It's like, wow, I can't believe we're in February already. And January is a longer month. February is a short month, so before you know it, we'll be in the middle of March madness and the intense energies coming in March. It's going to be interesting. Today, we actually have two very powerful astrological alignments taking place. Now, for those that are watching this right now, as I'm recording this, it is February 4th, and it's just after the 2 p.m. hour here in beautiful Sedona, Arizona. And speaking of planetary alignments in beautiful Sedona, Arizona, I got a great picture of right out front of my house. I am so blessed. Right outside of my front of my house, on my front porch, taking a picture of the beautiful moon over the Rock Butte with Jupiter shining ever so brightly next to it. And it's amazing how the sky in my picture turned out purple. Purple, the highest vibrational color in the spirit realm. The highest vibrational metal, gold. You probably don't remember, but you've been there many times. The gates of heaven are beautiful big pillars of gold with deep orchid and indigos. Amazing. So other than that, going back to this, and yeah, if you get a good look, I can't see all the planets lined up because I'm in a canyon. So both sides, I have a mountain that blocks out a lot of the view. But I did get to see Jupiter and a few of the other planets. I think I saw a total of 4 lined up out of the 7. The other 3 I couldn't see. And the 7th one, you need a telescope anyway. And then which one's that? Jupiter, or whichever one's way out there. So what we have happening today on February 4th is Venus in Aries and Jupiter direct in Gemini. And this is when passion meets opportunity, friends. And if you listen to my February forecast, then you'll remember everything that I'm touching on right now. And if you missed it, it's another thing. Someone's like, people in their comments, sometimes I think they're just bots, just trying to stir up stuff. And they get blocked anyway. This is all negative. My forecast every month are not negative. They are 80% positive. So, and here's some of that positive right now, friends, because Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and finances, entered into the sign of Aries today. Igniting with it comes this ignition in our hearts of courage, passion, and independence. I'm very independent myself. Just makes me become even more independent. This is also a time for us to make bold moves when it comes to love and when it comes to business as well. Because Aries is the sign that's going to encourage us to chase what sets our souls on fire and to do so without hesitation. What sets your soul on fire, friends? What sets your soul on fire? This is a time to let that fire blaze. At the same time, Jupiter stations direct in Gemini, bringing with it clarity when it comes to our visions. You know, you may notice over the past month, January, or even back to December, you had a hard time focusing on your vision, the vision of what it is you want, where you're going. You seemed very foggy, not sure, very, uncertain about things. Well, that fog's lifting today, friends. Thank the Lord for that. Hallelujah, Jesus. That's lifting. The fog is totally this uncertainty that's been in our mind and this fog over our eyes, completely lifting. And in turn, that's going to reveal this path of success for all of us. But we do have to take some inspired action, of course, to make that happen. Now, Jupiter in direct Gemini, after months of the slowdowns, Jupiter, the planet of expansion and luck. Luck is always on your side. I don't believe in luck. I believe in blessings and miracles personally. And I am blessed with miracles each and every day. And I tell you, the more you focus every day on your blessings and miracles, the more you will get. My father used to say, you're so lucky, you got to play the lottery more often. And I do play. I buy one ticket every time I go to the machine. And I will win big one day. But that's not luck. That's blessings. And this whole alignment with Jupiter direct in Gemini is all about expansion, all about blessings. It stations direct in Gemini, which is going to open up doors for rapid advancements when it comes to communications, media, and technology. But here's the downslope to that, friends, is that on March 1st, the very 1st of March, which is interesting, we step into the pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde. And it is only the pre-shadow, but still, pre-shadow still is going to affect things like all of those things, communications, media, and technology. But for the month of February, of course, it's very positive. Very, very positive. So I would tell you to expect big revelations, groundbreaking discoveries, and a surge of information and truth to begin to flow out. And here's a little inspiration to help you with this alignment today. Trust yourself. Be fearless when it comes to love and when it comes to your creative pursuits, because this is a great time to ignite your creativity, to make things happen, to really get a foothold. Remember, we're in the 2 vibration in February for the month of February, which does help us get more of a foundation down, more of a vision of our blueprint and what it is we want to build in the future. And when we step into that 3 vibration, we really start to make things happy and joyful. We start to build things and make things happen. But we'll talk about March when we get towards the end of February. So remember, trust yourself, be fearless in love and your creative pursuits, and say yes to new adventures and unexpected opportunities, because they will lead you to abundance, joy, and happiness, friends. Now, with all these alignments going on into place, of course, it's going to affect all kinds of things, which I talked about in my February forecast. If you want to know what those things are, be sure to go back and watch the February forecast. I'm going to skip right past that because I was going to cover it, but it's all in that other video. Go watch the other video, friends. Go watch. There'll be a link at the end of today's broadcast. And a link down below in the description. There's at least 5 videos recommended at the bottom in the description each week. You'll also see them pop up here from time to time. Next week, friends, we're going to be heading into the full moon in the fiery sign of Leo. And it's going to be a fiery time for sure. And come to think of it, I would think that'd be very connected to wildfires too. Because, when we had that whole 8-8 alignment back in 2023 is when we saw the fires in Lahaina. That whole Leo portal gate opening, no coincidences there. Speaking of wildfires, because I don't think it's in my notes today, so let me get this out there now. I talked about wildfires and potential targets in places. Colorado was one of them. But one that's been coming to me very strongly, unfortunately, is right here in Arizona. Not this part of Arizona. I am safe in the canyon, says the spirits. That's why they brought me here. But more near Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona, Buckeye, Arizona, even potentially in Scottsdale, Arizona, where all the money is. And people having major fires and losing things. But I see something major hitting in Phoenix or right around Phoenix, Arizona with wildfires. And Spirit does show me visions of, a little light coming from the sky. Now, I said that back in a month before the Lahaina fires. You can go back and look for the records of that. I said that there was going to be a city fire, that I saw visions of it being caused from a light from the sky, either coming from a satellite or a drone. We all know how that played out. Well, that's how the one's going to play out around Phoenix, Arizona. And I noticed, too, that they're really drying us out on purpose, People say it's conspiracy, but they do manipulate things. It's not. Just look up the patents for yourself. Before you jump into calling people this conspiracy theorists, look down that rabbit hole yourself. Because what's going to happen is you're going to find out later that you were wrong and you're going to feel really salty. Salty on a wound. Don't want that. So this whole fiery time that's coming in with the Leo full moon next week, this is when we are going to see massive storm systems forming, dropping large amounts of precipitation. Mainly storms in the northern parts of the United States, with record-breaking cold temperatures hit the same areas of the northern parts, with record warmth hitting the rest of the world. And it's 71 degrees out here right now on February 4th. That is not normal for where I live. Yeah, I know I'm in Arizona, but I don't live in the desert. There should be snow on the ground. It should be cold outside right now. There should not be 5 hummingbirds at my hummingbird feeder in February. I have 2 that hang out every winter, all winter long, because they know I'll go out, and if it's real cold, I'll bring the feeder in at night so it don't freeze. And it's the same 2 since I lived here. Always hang out. They've been here during blizzards. But now a whole bunch of them showed up, and they're aggressive and mean, and I don't like them aggressive ones, because I have my 2 buddies that are my family that live here year-round. That's their feeder. You can share, but you can't be aggressive. But anyway, record warm temperatures. We're seeing that here, and I feel like they're drying us out on purpose in Arizona because, potential for, drought and wildfires come, soon. Which they shouldn't be soon because we're not in wildfire season. But that's what I see, friends. And I talked about record snow, and we see the Sierra Mountains in the northern parts of the west coast of the United States getting hit really hard with that cold and snow. Now, the coming full moon is also going to bring an activation to the tectonic plates as well as some volcanic activity. I see another huge blast coming out of both Iceland and another coming out of Alaska in the near future. While we will also see a major, massive Earth movement and eruptions near Indonesia. And that just popped into my mind, going back to Alaska. I see a big earthquake hitting Alaska. Huge. Right in or right outside of Anchorage, Alaska. I don't know when. I'm not saying this is coming up this month, but it just hit me. This just came to me. And it's big. Like 7.0 or higher. That's pretty big. And if you watch me long enough, the things that randomly jump into my brain, which all of this does is I'm channeling through writing, because when I write, I channel from spirit. But when I'm doing this live and things jump into my brain, they're the things that sometimes happen, sometimes days after I say it. So we'll keep our eyes on Alaska, friends. Keep our eyes on Alaska. It's one of the places I want to visit on my list of travels. And actually next year, that is a plan. Me and one of my buddies, We're going to go salmon fishing in Alaska. Rent our own boat and Airbnb. It'll be fabulous. Anyway, moving on. So this eruption that I see in movements in the plates near Indonesia, this may occur in the month of March, which I'm strongly pulled to the window of time for February, from February 11th to February 15th. Remember that window of time, friends. February 11th to February 15th feels really like a very significant window of time, not just for massive earthquakes and eruptions, but it feels to me like next week is going to be extremely fiery with that Leo energy coming in. Perhaps even seeing a record wildfire hitting in the latter part from the 11th to the latter part of February. And even though we're, again, not in wildfire season, not here in the northern hemisphere anyway, but in the southern hemisphere, this would be very likely that we are about to witness some fiery situations in Australia. I see fire in Peru, which I'm going to soon to, Brazil, and Chile. So all places that need to be aware. Again, the window of February 11th through February 15th feels very significant in world events, including Earth events. This could be connected to earthquakes and other extremely fiery things, including wildfires. And again, I have warnings of fires in Australia, Peru, Brazil, and Chile. Phoenix, Arizona, Boulder, Colorado. We must be aware, friends. Don't be scared. Be prepared. So the date February 14th, that has been jumping out at me for quite some time, friends. I don't know if I put dates in my 2025 predictions because I missed a lot that I would normally do with that, but my father passed, I had to travel, and it was just a crazy time. But I feel like I mentioned February 14th somewhere. But it came to me very strongly and has been coming to me very strongly, and it reminds me of the old horror movie, My Bloody Valentine. Don't ask me why, but that's what popped in my mind today, February 14th and My Bloody Valentine. I'm not sure why, just a strong pull to that date, and for some reason, that movie. Now, I don't remember that movie. I don't even know if I've ever even seen that movie. I just know that movie title. So likely this could be showing us that there's going to be some type of a large-scale event that may cause, mass casualties, and very possible happening on February 14th. We'll have to keep our eyes to that date. We may also see the fall of some type of an important world leader on February 14th. This coincides with my 2025 world predictions and coming assassination attempts. Some failed attempts, while others will be successful. I mentioned the fall of many leaders. I mentioned that back in 2024 world predictions too, if you remember. I said we will see more fall of leaders in 2024 than ever. And they just put out a report that there were more CEOs that stepped down and left power in 2024 than ever in history. Isn't that interesting? I mentioned, again, the fall of leaders continuing in 2025. The Aquarian age, friends, is all about pouring the dark into the light, bringing balance back to our amazing planet. So I also saw, besides the fall of leaders, regime changes, different regime changes taking place, of course, mainly in the Middle East. I'm sure we know who's responsible for making that happen. I see a regime change happening in Pakistan, Iran, Syria, and even major changes in Afghanistan. I see a takeout being planned by the U.S. secret government to go in and take out the leaders of ISIS and other radical groups, including leaders of the countries that I just mentioned. But also I have this feeling of this sinister plan of regime changes in previous mentioned countries. I also see Israel flying a flag ever so falsely, as we say, in turn using this as an excuse in the future to attack Iran. And I'm not saying, again, this is all happening next week, but certainly in the coming months, perhaps in the coming weeks, and even perhaps in the coming week. But I would say March would be even more likely. The end of February, but even March with the alignments and the energies that are coming in, that could definitely bring about more conflict. Likely will bring about more conflict. And sadly, my feeling around Iran is that they already do possess nuclear capabilities. Iran does, as does North Korea, and a few other small countries that you'd be surprised to know that they have some type of nuclear capabilities. Spirit downloaded that to me this morning. That Spirit states folks would be very surprised again by the little countries with such big weapons. And if Israel does fly this flag into Iran, ever so falsely, it will bring about some type of a nuclear exchange. So friends, let us hold in the light right now that this absolutely never happens and peace prevails. And as much as that's what we want and we can shift it into, I think that some of those leaders do need to fall. I think one of those leaders is Netanyahu, another one that needs to go. We need to clean up all the political systems. And really, the only way that's going to happen is when it all collapses. And we see that playing out already. The systems are collapsing. Now, I feel the coming full moon energy next week is also going to bring about some fiery revelations around celebrity secrets. It could very well be leading us to this time of great exposure around the Epstein case. I see a ton of leaked information, including videos of Jeffrey himself coming into the light. This, in turn, is going to shine a blinding light so brightly on these creepy criminals and the intense size of this web of darkness. The intensity of the size of this web of darkness, it's huge. At the same time, I feel like I must also put in here that P. Diddy's days are numbered, and he may be Clinton or Epstein in March of 2025. So again, to be clear, I have this strong feeling that Sean P. Diddy Combs' days are very numbered, short-numbered, and that he may be taken out in some form or another between now and the end of March 2025. And if not by then, I feel very strongly by the end of 2025 will be the very sad end to the whole P. Diddy's existence. But the trash and the gossip and the criminalities that come out in the process, wowzers, friends. It's already wowzers if you have read any of the court papers. Unbelievable. But I got that strong feeling. I looked at him today. What was his birthday? November 4th. So he's one of them bad Scorpios. Very bad ones. Interesting enough. Wait until I tell you about the list put out by the FBI of Zodiac signs. And who do you think? And now, not in the comments. Don't put it in the comments. But if you're in the live chat room when we are premiering this, then put it in the live chat room. What sign do you think? And again, please don't put it in the comments because we don't need them there. Just put it in the live chat. What sign do you think is deemed the worst? And don't go cheating and looking it up either. But what sign do you think the Federal Bureau of Investigation Zodiac sign is the most dangerous sign? I was surprised by it. I actually thought it was going to be, well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to give you any hints. So we'll get to that later at the broadcast. Now, the full moon next week is also going to add to the fire of protests, bringing about much larger protests, friends. Just this past weekend alone, hundreds of people took to the streets of California, blocking roads. I think it was 101 or major roads. And, you know, when you're blocking the roads, you protesters, remember, you're also blocking people's access when they need to get through. People that what if there's an emergency and they need to get through? And the dingbats aren't allowing any of their fellow citizens, they're your fellow citizens, to get through because you're too worried about the non-citizens. Come on now. This is just going to get bigger and bigger, friends. And I see protests coming outside the Senate, Washington, D.C. I see Supreme Courts, and actually I'm getting a vision now of them trying to set up some kind of big protest in D.C., but then I see military or what are they called? The Weekend Warriors coming in, National Guard coming in and blocking off D.C., so I'm having a vision of that. And I don't know if it's to help the protesters to stop something bad from happening, that could be it, or if they're stopping the protesters completely from getting in. Not sure, but we'll see how that plays out. So again, over in California, they were blocking the roads and all for that. We're going to see more protests coming, not just in Washington, D.C. and outside of the Senate. The Supreme Court's major protest. And I see other major protests in parliaments across the globe. It's going to get real, friends. It's going to get real. It's a great show to watch. It's like a Hollywood show. It's the best Hollywood movie ever produced. Now, I feel likely, due to this coming fiery full moon in Leo coming up next week, that something huge is about to go down under for our friends in Australia. I feel something huge is happening in Australia when it comes to justice and citizens seeking justice against their very corrupt government. And I feel chaos is likely to spread into the streets of Australia after the arrests take place of several corrupt politicians and other people weaved within the web of darkness in Australia. So Australians, mate, looks like you're going to get real soon. Very, very real. It's a good thing. Bringing out the corruption, bringing out the truth. They hopefully will be an inspiration for the rest of the world when this occurs. And I feel like this is coming like maybe even next week. Now, this is off the subject, but it jumped into my mind when I was writing this all down this morning. Yellowstone National Park came to my mind once again. And I made many predictions in the past around Yellowstone. Some that did come into fruition and some that still we wait to come into fruition. And I feel something very, very significant is coming out of Yellowstone National Park in the near future. There is some type of shift and movement beneath the earth that's occurring right now. Small, but it's going to get bigger. This in turn is going to unleash some type of a rare event, not the super volcano, friends, so don't worry about that. But it's still going to be a pretty big, rare event that's going to occur at Yellowstone National Park. And of course, they're going to place a lot of concerns around super volcano and pump that out into the media to get everybody scared. Spirit says, fear it not. The super volcano won't blow, but things are going to blow in Yellowstone National Park. I also see park closures, Yellowstone National Park closures, due to multiple events. I see multiple closures due to multiple events this year in Yellowstone National Park. I see a closure due to this coming a large event, of course, whatever this big large event or explosion, geyser, whatever's happening there is pretty big. So that's going to be a closure. I see closures due to flooding and a bridge being damaged or even washed away. And then separately, I see something around fire and fires at Yellowstone. And here's the strange part about this, friends, which also goes back to a past prediction over a year ago. I feel these fires are actually igniting from some type of heat and even gas seeping out from beneath the earth, causing an ignition. So when we see wildfires in and around Yellowstone National Park, friends, know that it's an actual natural event, not one that's being portrayed or set by the globalists. Definitely not in this case. Remember that. And we're going to see this happening in other places, especially in areas where there's a lot of volcanic activity, where gases and things are going to seep through and set a lot of these wildfires. Very interesting times we are in indeed. And this is the movement of the plates beneath our feet. I also feel that there's an attack coming that will take place not on one, but several embassies across the globe. U.S. embassies, I would imagine. No, the Spirit just said in my ear, a French embassy as well shall fall. A French embassy shall fall. And at least 3 U.S. embassies will fall. Spirits just said that in my ear. Thank you, Spirits. You guys are awesome, and girls, you're awesome. Both my guides are male, but thanks, guys. So also, I feel like this is taking place, of course, likely in the Middle East. Also coming full moon, this coming full moon next week, we could actually very much fulfill my prediction of a huge scandal breaking out around the church and around religious groups. So much controversy, friends. So much controversy and truth is on our doorsteps right now, and the floodgates have been kept back for a while. But those floodgates of truth are about to break and burst open. That's when things are going to get really exciting. They can't keep back that truth forever, those hidden truths forever. It's going to be wild to see how people actually respond when these shocking truths begin to flow out like one broken water main after another. One after another. In turn, of course, exposing all the craziness that's been going on beneath our noses for way too long, friends. Way too long. I always forget the guy. What's his name? Joel. The preacher dude. Joel, you know who I'm talking about. He pops to mind with his little church. You know where the pow was? Joel Osteen, that dude. I see some controversy coming out around him. Lots of corruption behind those church doors, says the Spirit. Lots of corruption. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the near future. Speaking of craziness, we have seen and witnessed yet more and more incidents and tragic accidents around aeroplanes, friends. Aeroplanes and sky events. Did you know that in January 2025, there were 15 incidents or accidents around airplanes, according to an article I read? But when I went and looked and researched it, actually there was a heck of a lot more than that, friends. And Spirit warned that we were going to see more and more of this taking place in 2025, matching up with the predictions I made in 2024. Like what happened to our friends in Japan. I had that vision that all played out in Japan, and several others played out as well. Now, boy, oh boy, this year certainly did kick off with the whole focus on aviation and airplanes. Now, to be fair here again, if we look back at statistics, they will tell us that there are over 385 crashes per year. Mostly, of course, of very small craft, driven by, small people. That didn't make any sense. But anyway, small craft driven by small people, not the aliens. So 385 a year, which is more than one per day, they tell us. Just over 1.1 a day or whatever it adds up to. Now, there were 15 incidents, they tell us, only 15 incidents that happened in January. That's not true. That's actually not true at all. Because I went up to the aviation website, and it showed me 61 crashes, most of them being in the United States in January alone. That's a lot. They tell us that the numbers are shrinking when it really appeared that they may have even doubled. Looks like they doubled in January. So, you got to watch what the media puts out there. You got to do your own research, friends. And they list all that stuff right on websites. Every aviation incident and accident is listed. So back on December 29th, we saw 3 significant crashes all in one day. And they weren't small craft either, friends. There was the one that took place in Halifax, Canada. There was the second one that took place in Oslo, Norway. And then the third one that took place in South Korea. January 29th, there's that 29 day again, we saw the 4th crash happening in California. The 5th over Washington, D.C. And then, of course, that was followed by the medevac plane crash that crashed into right where I used to work once upon a time. Crazy. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, of course. Now, that one didn't happen on the 29th, though. The other 2 did. There were 5 that all happened between December 29th and January 29th on those particular dates. All 5 taking place on that 29. Now, I've continued to always point to those dates to you, friends. The 11 and the 29. Both being 11 master numbers. And just to clarify, 29 people are like, how's that an 11? You always add the numbers together. So, 2 plus 9 is an 11. So it's an 11 day. And they're the only 2 days of the month, the 11th and the 29th, that are 11 days. Master number days. And what happens on those days? We see many, many tragic events play out on 11 days. Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Katrina, and many others blew in on the 29th. We had the significant 11 vibration from September 2001. We had the March 11th, 2011 tsunami hitting Japan. And the list just keeps going on and on and on with those dates and that number. Now, there's so much speculation in many being called conspiracies. But is it really a conspiracy, friends? Funny, because again, I told you I've been called that from time to time for a long time now. Very long time. No, I don't believe the earth is flat. So, regardless. And if it is, then, then I was wrong. But you got to prove it to me first. So much of what I was called a conspiracist for over the years, so much, actually came into reality. Someone actually called me that in the comments last week. I was like, how do you, okay, if you say so. They're blocked now anyway, doesn't matter. Keep judgments to yourself. Otherwise, you may be eating crow at the end of it when the real truths are actually revealed. And I really like what this senator had to say about conspiracy. So next time you decide to title someone's beliefs with a title created by the CIA after the JFK assassination takedown, you might want to reconsider that. I like what the senator had to say. Check it out.
Sounds to me like we need to get some new conspiracy theories because all the old ones turned out to be true.
Facts matter, Senator.
Yeah. I mean, conspiracy theorists are up something like 37 enough.
So turning back to the crash over the waters of Washington, D.C. and the Potomac River, first let me show you what I had to say about a plane crashes, during a live video I did last year on August 8th, 2024. Give a listen.
Like accidents around airplanes, visions of explosions on runways, which just happened last week in New York, upstate New York. I think it was Buffalo, New York. I showed you a video on Tuesday's show of that. That was in my visions. But I also had a vision of planes colliding and it being really a big deal. I also had a separate vision of a plane hitting the back tail of another plane and also saw flames and explosions.
Well, friends, there certainly was a whole lot of flames and explosions on January 29th and January 31st as well. Two planes colliding in midair and it being a big deal. That's what I said in the video. You heard me. Well, this is definitely a big deal. Biggest deal that ever happened in the United States in over a decade. So that vision, keep in mind that vision last year of this collision I saw from a distance. You got to remember how visions work. And I saw it, and a lot of times they play out in videos that end up going viral afterwards. And that's basically how this actually happened. In my vision, I saw a distance, and I saw two things hitting each other. It looked like two airplanes colliding. I didn't get a close-up view of it. And that's exactly how we're seeing the video footage play out, where you see them colliding from the distance. So it appeared to me like two airplanes, but still close enough. I didn't say two helicopters. And I do actually feel that we will now see, I do not feel that we're going to see two collide again in this aspect like we just did. I truly feel that that vision I had back in August of 2024 was exactly what played out on January 29th over Washington, D.C. Now, the Washington, D.C. crash was connected to the Ronald Reagan National Airport. Remember, Ronald Reagan was shot at just like Trump was. Just a thought. And an airport named after a president. Keep this in mind for a minute, friends, just for a moment, and I'll get back to you on the significance of presidential airports in a moment. Going back to the master numbers. We see the master numbers 11 and 33 popping up all around this horrible tragedy, in which we send, of course, lots of prayers to the poor folks suffering through the pain and the loss from all these crashes and incidents. It's a very, very sad thing. I couldn't imagine. Now, I touched already on the 11 vibration and its connection to tragic events. The 29, of course, we add those together and it's still an 11 day. Now, we always break it all the way down to a single digit. So overall, it's still a 2 vibration. But whenever we add the numbers and we get the 11, the 22, or the 33, we always look at that first because they're master numbers. Also 11, 22, 33. Just those 2 days a month, the 11th and the 29th, are the 11 days. But we also again can throw the number or the date the 22nd into the mix as well, as far as past tragedies that have occurred on the date the 22nd. Interesting enough, with the 22nd date, it seems like we see a lot more mass casualty events, especially events that include pow-pows. We even can look back at the JFK incident and assassination that happened on 11/22. No coincidences, friends. No coincidences. And now we got to look at the number 33, because the number 33 is said to be the number of Jesus Christ, as well as the age that Jesus Christ died for humanity's sins. There also happens to be 33 vertebrae in your spine. Did you know that? And do you know about raising up the Kundalini energy up your spine? I've done that meditation, healing meditations on that here on YouTube. I do a similar meditation with all my full session clients, my group sessions. We bring that energy from the sacral up the 33 vertebrae with the serpent energy, weaving in and out. Oh, in turn, we're raising the Kundalini energy up the vertebrae, and according to the ancient traditions, you're resurrecting the energy up to the head representing heaven for total enlightenment. Therefore, this number rings in very strongly, especially when it comes to the Freemasons and the so-called illuminated ones. You know who I'm talking about. They're all connected. Their favorite number is 33, actually. They allegedly have 33 levels of initiation. But really, there's a 33 and a half. It's just nobody knows who the half is. So the DC plane was heading for a landing on runway 33, friends. But what I found even most strange about this, okay, so 33. People will be like, oh, that's no big deal. It is still a master number, and it played out on an 11 day, and you got all these representations of the 11 and 33 all around this crash. There's no coincidences, ever. So what I found really, really strange about the whole 33 wasn't the runway 33, but the fact that mass media felt this strong need to push in our faces that there was one passenger on the plane, I think her name was Elizabeth, who was celebrating her 33rd birthday. They could have just told us that she was celebrating her birthday. Why did they feel a need to tell us the 33? Well, of course we know why they told us. They always got to put that out. And all the media talked about, all mass media talked about her 33rd birthday. They all repeated the same, basically, script, because they do. I just thought that was really what was striking to me. You know, the 33, runway, sure, maybe it could be coincidence, even though I don't believe in coincidences. But for media to pump out that it was this woman's 33rd birthday and there were 66 other people besides her, why mention that so much on every single broadcast? Just saying. Just saying, friends. Just saying. This is the illuminated ones, friends, letting us know that they're behind these things. Always. That's how they tell us, using the numbers. Not the 11th day. I'm not saying that all these events that happen on the 29th or the 11th are orchestrated. No, not at all. A lot, especially the 29th events, are usually weather and climate events, like earthquakes and such. Natural events. Maybe not so natural, some of them. But no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they utilize those dates a lot, especially the number 33. Now, no doubt, it's all shady. And there is and will be cover-up of details in this tragic accident, according to Spirit. And here's another interesting fact. Some had this intuitive feeling that the chopper was purposely being driven into this plane. Why would they want to do that? Which it really kind of did appear to be the case. If you look at all the different multiple camera views, it was almost like, and why did the big video that we all saw first, why did that person get reprimanded for releasing that video footage? Did you hear about that? They didn't want that footage to be out. But now we have, 3 different camera angles, at least? So it all got out because all things need to get out. So many people speculate that there could have even been mind control behind this. Or was it remote control, friends? Mind control or remote control? That is the question. So check out this. Here's a clip of a video showing the exact same chopper and its capabilities. And you can see it was February 2022 when the Sikorsky and of course, DARPA made history by flying the first Black Op helicopter without a pilot in a cockpit. It was the first flight of its kind. The Black Hawk had been modified with Matrix technology and other advancements developed under DARPA alias program. Of course, DARPA, the devil. The aircraft executed all its maneuvers completely from a ground-based commander center. And friends, that was back in 2022. So that was just 3 years ago. Just 3 years ago that we first heard of such technology. And really, we didn't. We're hearing about it now. But we heard of such technology, which means that they had this technology long before they began to reveal it to us. I tell you all the time. If they're telling us they're doing something, they're already done it. You know, and if they're showing us something, it's something that they had for a long time. They might have had that technology for over a decade before they decided to show it. And now, you know, they are way more advanced than they even tell us. And I bet you those helicopters are way more advanced. And with this Black Hawk remote system, people are taking into consideration, again, of the strong possibility that this could have been used, you know, to create things, to make things happen. I don't necessarily believe that that's 100% true, but I do have no doubt that there's something very shady around this. And I felt like, yeah, I'm not going to say it all because I don't want to go into it here, but you get what I'm saying, friends. Doesn't feel right, and it doesn't feel right to anybody, pretty much, except for those that are still so deeply in their sleep. So deeply in their sleep. We also have to talk about the fact that this did happen over Washington, D.C., friends. You know, right after the new president went in. 2 weeks later, D.C., at a presidential airport, the Ronald Reagan Airport. And just a few days ago, there was another incident with a plane catching fire. This was on February 2nd, 2 days ago, I believe. This was at the George Bush Airport in Houston, Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas, they say. So this brings to mind this question, friends. Why two incidents within less than a week of each other, within days of each other, both happening at presidential named airports? Is there a connection? What do you think? I want to know in the comments down below. And be nice or you will be blocked. Be nice in the comments. There's no need to be trolling comments and being mean to people. It's not necessary. We try to keep everything positive. Positive vibes, friends. Because there's enough negativity around predictions and prophecy and visions. We need positive vibes. Lots of positive vibes. So why presidential airports? Is there a connection? Again, I want to know what you think in the comments down below. There is a list. Here's a list of different airports named after presidents. We have the JFK Airport, of course, the John F. Kennedy Airport in New York. We have the George Bush Airport in Houston, Texas. We have the Ronald Reagan Airport in Washington, D.C. We have the Abraham Lincoln Airport in Illinois. And then we have the Bill and Hillary Clinton Airport in Arkansas. And when I looked at this list, the first thing that jumped out at me and literally bit me in the arm was the Clinton Airport. Don't know why. I mean, other than there's likely a big event that's going to take place at the Clinton Airport in Arkansas, followed by the JFK Airport, in which I feel there's going to be a major plane incident or accident that will occur at the John F. Kennedy Airport in New York. I see a vision of a large amount of fire and smoke. That's all I saw connected to, again, JFK Airport. And I wouldn't doubt that each one of those airports, we see something major happening by the end of this year. So keep your eyes. And of course, Abraham Lincoln would jump out because Abraham Lincoln was, of course, taken out. Interesting. Watch those airports closely, friends. Separately, I see a vision of a plane landing on a runway, and the plane was literally on fire when it landed on the runway. It looked like on both sides. It looked like both wings were on fire. And I see a vision of fire and rescue waiting on the runway to assist. I also feel folks do actually escape with their lives, thankfully, with the help of rescue. And of course, a really good pilot and crew. Not sure where this is playing out at. And you saw my video clip where I was stating that I saw one jet hitting the back of another. This has not really played out, and hopefully it does not play out. I also do feel some type of crash related to Australia coming up as well. But remember, friends, this is the most important. Do not let any of this and what's happening with aerospace aviation to stop you from flying commercial airlines. You know, you might be a little bit more weary about getting in a little tiny plane, but I wouldn't even worry about that, friends. If you go out always knowing in your heart and soul that you are safe and that you are protected, you will be safe and protected. And I know personally, I'm not letting it stop my travel plans this year because I got a lot of them. And I plan on getting on a lot of aeroplanes, friends, this year safely. So don't worry about it. We also had the January 31st horrific crash that occurred in my hometown area of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Crazy that that plane crashed right into where I used to work. Crazy. I used to go to the Dunkin' Donuts that you'll see in the video clip. The Dunkin' Donuts there. I used to go there all the time, get my coffee and my breakfast sandwich. This was decades ago, of course. The Dunkin' Donuts has been there forever. And these were sent to me, these clips from my buddy Mike outside of Philly, who lives in Croydon, sent me those great drone. They weren't drones. They were more like UFO pictures. And the footage literally looks like a ball of fire falling from the sky. That's insane, friends. Crazy. And so sad, too. And from what I gathered from friends who work in the hospital and the medical system, it is very highly unusual and unlikely for a medevac type of plane to have so many medics on it for one patient and doctors aboard. There were 4 in all. I think it was 2 medics, 2 doctors, something like that. Altogether, according to my friends, that's unheard of. And I was told you would have to be really lucky to even have 2 medics on the plane with you, let alone 4. So, main reason, of course, because of the extreme high cost of having all them people on the plane with you, the cost of the plane and the transport, in which, of course, health insurance don't cover. Not covering any of it. So perhaps they were wealthy. Perhaps the taxpayers paid the tab. Who knows? Regardless, it's a very, very sad and tragic incident hitting right near my hometown. Like, it's crazy to watch it on the telly and seeing like, whoa, I used to walk across that street all the time. Crazy. So someone pointed this out to me. And whether it means something or not, you be the judge. I'm not saying this is the case. I just thought it was interesting. It was just a little speculation here, not saying that there is a connection. So again, watch those comments. The little girl had the name Guzman. That flight was also connected, of course, to Mexico, where they were flying back to, or flying from, or something like that. You know who also holds that name? Guzman? Think about it a minute. El Chapo, baby. El Chapo Guzman. Just thought that was really interesting. I thought it was really interesting. Not, again, that there's at all a connection. I'm not saying that at all. So read my lips, not saying it's a connection. I just thought it was an interesting. I'm sure that's probably a common name like Smith, maybe, in Mexico. Who knows? What I do know is I rather feel quite strongly that there is some type of sabotage around both these incidents. The one in D.C., the one in Philadelphia. And I also very strong feeling that I don't have the answers. It's a very strong feeling that I have. And if you remember, I talked about in predictions, I think for 2025, about, well, sabotage of things, mainly like pipelines and other stuff, but sabotage is going to be a thing this year. So, you know, it's like that song. Who was that song? Oh, I can't remember. That was the 80s. But that song, Sabotage, Beastie Boys. Wasn't the Beastie Boys? Makes me think of that. Now, we're stepping into this amazing time, aside from all this horrific stuff. I also found it was interesting. I found that not only because of the energies we're in, the 9 vibration and everything else that's going on, but the planets Uranus and the planet Aquarius has a very high influence over aviation. And where this is going to take us in the future is to a new level of aviation, where there's eventually going to be new ways of flying things in the sky without using any jet fuel or anything, that's toxic to our environment. Maybe perhaps using the Tauran energy flow. If you know about the Taurus energy flow starts at your sacral, straight up through the top of your head, comes out about 2 inches past my fingertips, all around me, all the way down below the floor and back up through my feet. The Taurus energy flow. Exactly how Tesla was able to create free energies. And I believe that's how they make UFOs fly and create anti-gravity, by using the Taurus energy flow. It's the way our battery works. Our body's a battery. Our body's a battery, right? The Earth is a battery. If you look at the energy flow of the Earth's magnetic energy flow, it's the same thing. Comes from the bottom straight up through the Earth and back around. The Taurus energy flow. Really, really significant. So we're going to see a lot of use of that in the future, especially when it comes to aviation and anti-gravity devices. Our government already hides these and probably already has patents on a lot of this technology, but it's going to come out. It's time for it to come out. This is a time for aviation to take the next level. Flying cars within the next 20 years, it's going to be like the Jetsons. They told me that when I was a kid, and it's still not happening. But it's going to be sort of, not exactly like the Jetsons, but yeah, with flying vehicles. But here's the thing for now, of course, the global leader, you're going to make sure that they're the only ones that can fly in their flying vehicles. We just got to step up and make sure that we say, no, if you don't get to do it, we don't get to do it. Nobody gets to do it, period. Friends, put on your sunglasses, baby, because the future is bright. The future is very, very bright, my friends. We are stepping into this amazing time of innovation and a push for healing on new levels and mostly on natural levels. But first, yes, of course, there's going to be a handful of health concerns and outbreaks that are going to help feed the fire of this medical innovational push. It's what needs to happen. Something that I've said for months ago in my channeled predictions that is making a lot more sense now. Now we have a new administration going in. RFK going in the near future. They'll vote him in one way or another. He's going to make changes as much as they're going to try to stop him. And people waking up now to the toxicity of our food industry and how the foods are affecting us, body, mind, and spirit, so drastically. Check out this clip from, I believe, September of 2024 in my channeled predictions. Give a listen.
March and early April of 2025, you will see a new birth coming to the planet, a new light as April enters in 2025. You will get to witness amazing things and amazing innovations coming into fruition and into the light. Patents in which have been suppressed by governments, mainly the United States government, will be released. And these technologies will come into the light once again. So many at one time that they'll no longer be able to suppress these technologies. The young ones, the little ones that are now in their late teens and in their 20s will soon all receive a light code message that will give them the innovations and the technologies in their brain to launch these technologies. And again, the divine has created this to happen all in one time so that the darkness will be overwhelmed with the light and will not be able to stop these technologies from getting in the hands of helping humans, and not just humans, but creatures, the plants, the trees, and so many technologies, including the technologies that will heal you and cure you of all diseases, starting with the cures that already do exist for cancer, breast cancer, all types of cancer. We already know. The governments already know the technologies and the sound frequencies that do shrink and eliminate cancer cells, cancer tumors, and they suppress this. But again, too many people are discovering these technologies again at one time. Therefore, they cannot stop it from happening. And soon your hospitals will collapse. Your hospitals will go bankrupt, and people will seek out the new natural healing and the new technological advances of healing. amazing technological advances. And as dangerous as AI, artificial intelligence, is, artificial intelligence will assist humans in amazing new journeys of healing, both physically, energetically, and emotionally.
Yes, indeed. Like I said, the future is very bright. And put those sunglasses on because it is going to get really good. And we always got to focus on that. We got to focus on the new earth that comes in the future, where everything comes together and the technology, the advancements, and the amazing ascension of humanity and our consciousness takes us to a level we would have never even dreamed possible. This is why we have so many of the galactic people surrounding our planet watching the Earth right now to witness the amazing things that are about to happen. But of course, destruction has to come before the rebuilding of things. And speaking of which, I have a video premiere coming out on Thursday. It is the Great Phoenix Rising, the prophecies of No Eyes. I spent a lot of time on that video, even though it's just under 30 minutes long, and I really feel like I did a really great job on it, so I really hope you watch it. Mark your notifications. I will upload that by Wednesday, and it will premiere Thursday evening. Don't miss it. So another country just pulled out of the WHO, the W, the H, and the O. While now there's this concerning outbreak of tuberculosis hitting states, I think Kansas in the United States, while other continued concerns keep going on and on about the bird bug. Should we be concerned? Or should we actually be excited? I'd say we should be excited, not concerned. But let me just go back to the bird bug for a minute, because I saw this video today and I tried to do a clip of it to show you, and then I lost it, like it closed and I couldn't find it again. In this video, it showed people from all over the world, and I want you all to do this for me down in the comments in different places. Not United States, because I know how much eggs cost in the United States. Especially the free range. I buy free range. I don't buy organic because it's just stupid. It just makes no sense. Organic because they feed it organic food. I want free range chickens that are eating natural bugs and things off the ground. That's the best kind of eggs to eat, friends. Free range. And I know for an 18 pack, it's like $12 for 18 eggs. And in this video, I saw people in Thailand showing their grocery store where eggs were $2 a dozen in American dollars. Norway, it was like $3 a dozen. And all these other places, they were showing how they had so many eggs and they were so cheap compared to America. So is the whole egg thing a scam? So if you're outside of the United States, tell me what you pay for a dozen free-range eggs in American dollars. Inquiring minds want to know, friends. So RFK wants to change the health system, while senators in the pockets of Big Pharma push back on RFK so bad, so horribly. If you didn't watch any of the meetings or whatever they call them, you should watch them. I'm not going to play any. I will play one clip of one thing, but in a moment. But it's all very interesting to say the least because, you got, what's her name? Warren. Elizabeth Warren. Oh, I can't stand her. I very much dislike her. Because, going after him about Big Pharma and all, when she's made over $5 million from Big Pharma since she's been in office. That's what makes me not like these people, friends. This is what makes me dislike them so much. They are so desperate to keep RFK from taking down those who make our health vibrations into this very low vibrational level. And they have gone so low, friends, once again, so low, to have his own cousin come out and bash him once again. Remember, she did this. This woman did this to him last year. I think it was last year. It might have been the previous year, but I remember it was on Easter Sunday, and it was at the White House when she got up on the microphone and totally bashed him at an Easter egg hunt at the White House, which made no sense. And, remember, again, she did that last year, all to tarnish Bobby's name. This is your blood. This is your cousin. And I don't know about you, but personally, I see right through people and I see right through things. Obviously, I've been doing, reading people for over 30 years, and I can see right through things. And I think she's pretty easy to see through. The evil, the actual hatred that radiates from her. That's so sad to me. That's such a negative vibration. Here, check it out for yourself.
I've known Bobby my whole life. We grew up together. It's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets, because Bobby himself is a predator. He's always been charismatic, able to attract others through the strength of his personality, his willingness to take risks and break the rules. I watched his younger brothers and cousins follow him down the path of drug addiction. His basement, his garage, his dorm room were always the center of the action, where drugs were available, and he enjoyed showing off how he put baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed to his hawks. It was often a perverse scene of despair and violence.
Now, of course, friends, to be fair, yes, people on drugs can end up doing some pretty horrific things. But it appears that she's living in the past and viewing all this with Bobby as if it was 40 years ago instead of the man he has become today. You know, this man who openly discusses his past struggles with addiction in order to help those currently going through such struggles. That takes a lot of strength, first of all, for someone to go through those addictions, heroin and all those dark roads and pathways, to come out and talk about it openly. Sorry, to me, I admire that. I don't admire somebody in the family who goes out and trashes your family members, all because you're in the pocket of Big Pharma. I just wonder how much they lined her pockets with, because you know they did, in order for her to go out and trash her own family member. I'm sorry, John Kennedy, JFK would not be happy with you for doing that at all. You know, I was always taught, if you got nothing nice to say, especially family, just don't say anything at all, baby. Just zip it up. Zip it up. So, amazing things anyway. Going back to the amazing things that are coming with this ascension of humanity. The amazing breakthroughs in medicine, including a point where technology is going to read our personal body imprints like reading your fingerprint. Spirit showed me that this morning. Technology that will have us aging slower, living longer, and beating disease much easier and quicker. Eliminating many diseases completely over the next 2 decades. That's when we're in the new earth, of course. Now, we started to see the prediction. Now, moving on to another subject, with the prediction. I got to wrap this up. I'm way behind today. The prediction of tariff wars coming into fruition, and then we didn't. Or do we? It's all very, very confusing. Very, very confusing, it seems. And it just seems to me, you know, they're so willing to push these costs right onto us for drive prices higher, which would bring in turn shortages with tariff wars and a whole lot of very unhappy people. We need happy people, not unhappy people. And they're going to be very unhappy when they go to the grocery stores and the gas pumps and see what that reflection does. For now, it's all on hold for the most part, which is really interesting with the whole Trudeau thing. That guy's got to go, man. Like, what that? WTH. Got to go. But that whole thing and that whole mess, and then Trump posting it like we made a deal with them. We didn't. We gave them $250 million. How did that go to them paying us, to us turning around paying them $250 million to help protect the border? A border that they cannot protect, that border in the north. It's just way too big. It's not realistic. And the papers of what the agreement of what Trudeau was supposed to do with this $1.3 billion, that's over a 4 or 5 year period too. So that's not that much. So there was no deal there, in my opinion. No deal. More American taxpayer money going to other countries. That's what that deal was. Now, the Mexico deal was pretty interesting that she quickly sent 10,000 troops to the border. But do you really think that's going to do anything? Friends, it's not going to do anything. It might stop people from coming across the border. That, yeah, but for the most part. But they'll still get them across the border. The cartel make millions, maybe billions off of all this. Have made billions over all this. So one thing for sure is we see the short-term trade war that just happened. But what we do see happening with these decisions were made with Trump and all, agreeing with Mexico and Canada saying now cartel are terrorist organizations. Interesting. Okay. Didn't we say that all along? But this just put pressure on the cartel big time, friends. Which goes back, you know, the U.S. troops on the border, the Mexican troops all joining in to guard the border and protect them from smuggling things in like fentanyl. But again, will it actually work? Now, remember my past prediction of cartel wars? I said that at least 2 years ago in channel predictions. Cartel wars. I think it was November 2023. 2023. where I first had those visions of major wars breaking out in conflict with the cartel, which back then didn't even seem, anything's possible, but it wasn't a plausible thing that was happening in the world. Now with all these decisions and what Trump's doing and mass deportations and everything else that's happening, the cartel ain't going to sit back and deal with this very long. And this is definitely going to bring in this whole conflict with the cartel. Remember my visions of seeing helicopters and military going in and taking out a cartel home or a compound? That's coming. And I believe that's coming with help from Mexico. I don't think they're going to have much of a choice. Even though the whole Mexican government's wrapped up in the cartel. But I'm sure there's always good people somewhere in the group. That's what we got to get. We got to get out the bad ones and bring in the good, let the good ones shine. So how is this going to play out? Well, it's going to play out, friends. The whole thing, the tariff thing's going to go back and forth and back and forth. Here's what I got to say to you, Donald Trump. Hey, you can put all the tariffs you want on things. If you're going to do that, how about you make an announcement to America that you're going to finally stop the ridiculous taxation that's happening in income tax and everything else, gouging the hell out of Americans, especially small business owners. It's ridiculous the amount of money we have to pay. Why don't you instead save our economy completely and say, hey, we're going to freeze it for, say, 6 months, just for that period. We're going to freeze it for the first 6 months. No taxes for the first 6 months. Tariffs will pay all the difference. Now, then I'd be on your side a little bit more. But right now, it just seems like it's just pushing up costs more and more and just destroying our relationship with allied countries and bringing down the United States, which I believe that's part of DT's, not his conscious mission, but that's the reason he's in office. And it wouldn't matter who was in office, actually. This is the fall of the American, not of America, but of the superpower of America. Every big power has to fall eventually. And the control over, our U.S. dollar rolling everything, that's all going to change. It's all changing. And that's all going to happen over the next 4 years, a majority of it. New things going into place, new digital currencies and all kinds of stuff. Going to be interesting. And with the cartel conflicts that are coming, it's going to get real. I saw conflict along the borders of Texas in visions and even parts of Arizona in past visions. And now we see the military down there guarding and such. Is the cartel going to throw something towards the militaries? Wouldn't surprise me. Drone attacks, Spirit just said. Drone attacks by the cartel. Beware of drone attacks by the cartel. All right, moving right along. Oh my, time is flying today. I got to get this show on the road, or at least upload it. But first, before we go, and before I sum up today's show, let me tell you about some interesting facts about, in accordance to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, what do you think the most dangerous zodiac signs are, in accordance to, again, the FBI? Interesting enough. Let's start with the least. The one they say is the least dangerous. They say is Gemini. Geminis have the least amount of blood on their hands, according to the FBI. Pisces falls in the middle, as there are several, just a few, they say just a few serial killers that happen to be Pisces. Then Taurus, the bull. What do you think they're most popular for? According to the FBI. Tauruses are most popular for fraud. They are fraudsters. Now, I can validate that with one of my siblings who frauded me out of an awful lot of money in business. Yeah, it kind of makes sense there. But I wouldn't say that we can label every zodiac sign as to what they're labeling. Because remember, your moon sign, your ascendant, all has a lot more to do with what's going on in your chart. Let's go to number 3, the top third. The third most dangerous zodiac sign is Sagittarius. Why? Well, Sagittarius are responsible for massive crimes. Some of those Sagittarians of massive crimes that take out a lot of people would be Escobar, Ted Bundy, and of course Stalin. All Sages. And the number 2 most dangerous zodiac sign, which I thought was going to be the number 1, And no offense, again, not all people with the zodiac sign are dangerous. Let's just clarify that. And you don't need to defend yourself in the comments because I see people, I'm a good Scorpio or I'm a good one of these or whatever. You don't have to tell us. We believe you. But Scorpio is number 2. Scorpio, according to the FBI, is the number 2 most dangerous zodiac sign because it holds the most serial killers and murderers of all zodiac signs. Interesting. And then number 1, this one surprised me because it's my moon sign, actually, and that is Cancer. According to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the zodiac sign Cancer is the most dangerous zodiac sign of all due to their instincts of jealousy. Jealous much, Cancer? I'm Cancer moon, and Cancer is the most psychic intuitive of zodiac signs and sensitive to other people's energy, emotions, and feelings. And we have 2 water signs in that top 3. Isn't that interesting? We have Cancer and Scorpio, the first 2 water signs, the most sensitive to other people's energy and emotions. I'm surprised we don't see Pisces in that top list, but Pisces does, according to the FBI. I don't know what number they were, but Pisces was in the middle somewhere. So say 6 or 7. We'll give it number 5 or 6, actually, with just a few serial killers that are Pisces. Just a few. No worries. It's just a few Pisces that might potentially gouge you when you turn your back. I just thought that was really interesting when I read about this, and I wanted to share it with you. I hope you find it interesting, too. A final note of positivity to leave your day with inspiration and some interesting things, too. Back on April 26, 2024, there was a herd of buffalo in the United States. I think it was in North Dakota. I forget what state now. But this herd of buffalo gave birth not to the first, but to the second extremely rare white buffalo calf. This goes way back in the ancient Native American prophecies, indicating if we go back to 2020, when the first one arrived, that is when we entered into the time of chaos and confusion. There is a positive change that's going to follow as the darkness, of course, is going to fight so hard to stay afloat and keep us trapped within this matrix, which in time will fail. The white buffalo signals unavoidable earth changes. And it is both a warning and it is also a blessing that gives each one of us the choice to make. What choice do you want to make, friends, when it comes to how you treat one another, how you treat Mother Earth, and all of our relatives, including the plants, the animals, the elements, the spirit, and human nations of this world? We are at that time, friends. The white buffalo and the second one in the same herd is a sign of blessings to come. But of course, unavoidable major earth shifts. A lot of that I touch on in my video that will premiere on Thursday, The Prophecies of No Eyes. It's a good one, friends. You're not going to want to miss this one. It's one that a lot of you may not be aware of. And they're the best content to put out. So you're going to want to check that out. Lastly today, friends, I want to give you a little affirmation for those who struggle or worry or stress about money. Remember, money is a vibration. It's an energy. Just like there is a spirit and vibration of the plant behind me, of the crystal, of the tree, the flower, and so forth. There is a vibration to money. That spirit of money belongs to a bigger spirit, the spirit of abundance. And when people talk bad about money, or when you crunch your money up and throw it in your purse or shove it in your pocket, that is a bad relationship with money. When you worry about money, it's like a friend. If you worry about that friend all the time, they're not going to come by your house to visit. They're going to avoid coming by. Money's the same way. So to help you flow into abundance even easier, each and every day, place both your hands over your heart like so and say, I have all the money I need, and money flows into my life with ease and joy each and every day. I have all the money I need, and money flows into my life with ease and joy each and every day. Hallelujah. Do that at least twice, 3 times a day, every day. And allow yourself to flow into abundance, joy, and happiness. That sums it up for episode number 152. Beautiful soul, beautiful tribe. I hope I helped to feed that prediction addiction today. Very important to me. I'll be feeding that prediction addiction even more on Thursday's premiere of the video of No Eyes. I have another video coming out on Japanese predictions, which is not just about Japan. So when you see that, friends, you're going to want to watch it. There's some inspiring good stuff in there for everybody. You're going to want to check that out. And my friends in Japan, be sure down below in the description you'll find the link to my Japanese YouTube channel. And I will be uploading that video as soon as I get my interpreter to interpret it for me. And we'll get it up there. And I'll send you links, or I'll put links next week when the interview with the podcasters in Japan airs. That was a lot of fun. I think he said he was going to break it down into 5 episodes. We spent several hours together. It was a lot of fun. Remember, down below, you'll find the links to all my social media. You can find me on Rumble. You can find me on Spotify. And just find me, friends. Find me. You can find me. You can find me. A big thank you to all the supporters who make this free content possible for everybody else. I love you with infinite and loving gratitude. And thank you for making this all possible. Until the next time, friends, remember, like my sign says, be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. And much love, friends.